Whisper from the void. God, I don't know how to begin. I don't even know who's speaking anymore. It used to be so easy to talk to you, to find my own voice in the silence. But now the silence feels endless, and my voice feels like it belongs to someone else. Maybe I've changed too much. Maybe I've been broken for too long. Or maybe I've just forgotten who I am. I'm not angry. I'm not crying. I'm not anything. And that's what scares me. I'm not sure when the unraveling began. There wasn't a single moment, no dramatic fall, just a quiet fading, a slow departure of myself from myself, like mist disappearing from the mountains in the morning, gentle, silent, final. God, can you hear me from this far away? I don't feel like me anymore, not even close. I go through the motions. I smile when I'm supposed to. I speak when expected. I show up. But I'm not there. Not fully. Not truthfully. There's a void where my name used to echo, and I stand on the edge of it, whispering into the darkness, not sure if anything will answer back. I wish I could tell you what I need, but I don't know what's missing. I don't know what I've lost, only that it feels like everything. This isn't just sadness. It isn't just burnout. It's not just exhaustion. It's something deeper, something heavier, like my soul is out of place, like it took a wrong turn and never found its way back. I used to know myself. I really did. I had dreams, I had values, I had a way of walking through the world that felt like mine. Now, I feel like a guest in my own skin. Is this what becoming someone else feels like? Or is this just what it looks like to slowly disappear? God, if you're there, and I still want to believe you are, please don't look away. Please don't turn from this version of me, the one that's hollow, the one that's drifting, the one that doesn't know how to return. I'm not asking for miracles. I'm asking for a thread, one thread, just enough to begin stitching myself back together. Can you whisper to the part of me that still believes? The part that's buried under fear and fatigue and forgetfulness. The part that still hopes there's more to this than numbness. I know you're not afraid of broken things. You've always met us in ruins, in wildernesses, in ashes, in prisons, in storms. So meet me here. Not when I'm healed, not when I'm whole. Meet me in this ruin of a person I've become. I'm not sure how long I've been missing, but I want to be found. I want to remember. I want to feel something true again, even if it hurts, because pain at least means I'm still alive. And right now, I'm not even sure if I am. God, if you still see me, if you still call me by name, if you still think there's something left worth loving, whisper to me, even if it's just one word, even if it's just a breath. I'll be listening, even in the void, even in the dark. Amen.
When did I lose me? God, when did I lose myself? I've asked this question 100 times, sometimes in silence, sometimes out loud, sometimes in tears. But there's never a clear answer. No single day, no big event, just a slow erosion, a quiet slipping, like water wearing down stone, piece by piece. There was no loud goodbye, just the absence of presence. I think it started with compromise. A little here, a little there, say yes when I meant no, smile when I felt shattered, be what they needed, even when it wasn't who I was. I thought I was just adapting, being strong, being useful. But in the process, I left parts of myself behind. And now I can't remember where I put them, or if they even exist anymore. God, was I too willing to disappear? I didn't mean to lose me. I was just trying to survive, to keep peace, to stay loved, to not be a burden. But now the weight is unbearable because it's the weight of a self I no longer recognize. And I don't know how to carry something I can't feel anymore. Sometimes I wonder, did I lose myself to people, to pain, to expectations? Or did I simply let go of the thread that held me together because it felt like no one else was holding it with me? God, I'm not trying to blame anyone. I just want to understand. I want to trace the steps that led me here, not to punish myself, but to remember where I started. I used to laugh differently. I used to walk into rooms without shrinking. I used to trust my own thoughts without second-guessing every word. Where did that version of me go? Is she still somewhere inside this fog? God, can you still see her, the one who once believed she mattered? I try to rewind, but my memory is scattered. Some moments are sharp, others are dust. And in the gaps, shame creeps in, whispering that maybe I was never really someone solid to begin with. But I don't believe that. I can't, because deep, deep down, buried beneath the exhaustion and doubt, there's a flicker, a faint memory of being whole, of feeling known, of waking up with joy, not dread. And I want that again. I want to find the trail back to myself. I want to walk with you step by step back to where I lost me and gently begin again. God, would you walk with me into the memories I've buried? Not to shame me, but to sit with me as I remember, as I grieve, as I gather pieces. Hold my hand as I retrace my story. And if I find moments that hurt too much, will you be the one to hold them for me? I don't need all the answers. I just need you beside me, in the searching, in the remembering, in the quiet ache of becoming real again. Because if you're there, God, then maybe I'm not too far gone. Maybe I can be found even now. Amen.
The mirror that doesn't know me. God, I looked in the mirror today, really looked. Not just a passing glance, not just to check my hair or adjust my shirt. I stared, and I didn't know who I was looking at. There were eyes, yes, a face, skin, but no familiarity, no warmth, no flicker of something alive. Just a stranger who wore my features like borrowed clothes. A shell that moved like me but didn't feel like me. God, that moment broke something in me. Because if the mirror can't even reflect who I am, what does that say about what's left? It's not vanity. It's not about appearance. It's about identity. It's about connection to self, to soul, to something real. And lately, I feel like I've become invisible, even to myself. Where is the spark I once had, the light behind my eyes, the joy that used to radiate without me even trying. Now, all I see is weariness, not the kind that comes from a long day, but the kind that comes from a long journey of forgetting. There are moments, God, when I avoid the mirror altogether because I'm afraid of what I won't see. Or worse, what I will. A version of me I didn't choose, one shaped by pain instead of passion, by survival instead of joy. I know you see past all this. I know you look into hearts, not reflections. But God, it's hard to keep going when even my reflection feels like a stranger. When did I stop being someone I recognized? I miss the version of me who smiled without effort, who didn't flinch at her own thoughts, who saw herself and felt whole. But now wholeness feels like a myth, a story I once believed, now slipping through my fingers like sand. God, would you meet me at the mirror? Not to fix me, not to change what I see, but to stand beside me and whisper, I still know you, even here. Because maybe if I can't recognize myself, maybe if I can't feel anything familiar, you still can. Maybe you still see the child in me, the fighter, the dreamer, the worshiper, the soul that once danced in freedom. And maybe that's enough for now. Maybe if you still recognize me, that recognition can anchor me, can begin to remind me that not all is lost. So, God, until I can see myself again, until the mirror reflects something true, can I borrow your vision? Can I believe, even faintly, that you still see someone worth loving, someone worth restoring, someone still in there, waiting to be remembered? Amen.
God. They always say, you survived, that's what matters. And I suppose they mean well, but what if the cost of survival was me? What if, in making it through everything life threw at me, I had to tear off pieces of my soul just to keep moving? God, I didn't choose to lose myself, but I did what I had to do to survive. I silenced parts of me so I wouldn't make noise. I hardened my heart just enough to stop it from breaking. I put up walls, not because I didn't want love, but because I didn't want to bleed again. I stopped dreaming because hope felt too expensive. And now, here I am, alive, technically, breathing, functioning, showing up, but spiritually bankrupt, emotionally overdrawn, empty in places that once overflowed. Was this the price? God, I don't regret surviving. I don't regret getting through the nights I thought would kill me. But I do grieve what I lost in the process. I lost softness. I lost spontaneity. I lost the freedom to feel deeply without fear of being crushed. I became efficient. I became guarded. I became someone people could depend on, even as I stopped depending on myself. And somewhere along that timeline, the one paved with endurance and grit, I became invisible to myself. God, what happens when survival becomes the only thing you know? When you forget how to live because you've spent so long just trying not to drown? I don't want to survive anymore if it means living like this. I want to remember how to laugh, not because it's polite, but because something in me dances. I want to cry, not because I've collapsed, but because I've let myself feel again. I want to feel the warmth of sunlight and not wonder if I deserve it. I want to walk through the world, not just avoiding harm, but seeking beauty. But right now, all of that feels so far away. God, help me count the cost, not in regret, but in understanding. Show me what I've left behind, not to shame me, but so I can begin to gather again, to restore the parts that were never meant to be discarded. Because I think I've learned this. We can't outrun our own souls, not forever. And eventually, even the strongest survivor will sit down in the silence and whisper, "This isn't enough." God, I'm there now, sitting in that silence, whispering those words, longing not just for life, but for wholeness. So if you are near, would you begin the gentle work of rebuilding? Would you breathe life into the parts I buried to stay alive? Because survival without self is not what you intended for me. Amen.
I'm smiling, but I'm not there. God, they see me smile, and they think I'm okay. They hear me laugh, and they believe I've healed. They watch me show up day after day, and they assume I'm strong. And maybe that's my fault, because I've become so good at pretending. But God, the truth, I'm smiling, but I'm not there. My body moves, my face performs, my voice knows what to say. But somewhere between my lips and my soul, something's missing. I feel like a hologram, projected into the world to do what's expected. But inside, it's just echoes, hollow rooms, dust and silence. God, when did I learn to perform instead of live? It's terrifying how easy it became to smile on command, to say I'm fine with believable warmth, to nod, to encourage, to uplift, even as I'm sinking under the weight of my own emptiness. Sometimes I wonder if anyone would notice, if I stopped being okay, if I told the truth, if I said, actually, I don't know who I am anymore. But that truth feels too big, too inconvenient, too messy. So I keep smiling, because people love the version of me that doesn't need anything. Because the silence that follows honesty is louder than the pretending. But God, I'm tired of smiling when I'm breaking. I'm tired of pretending to be present when really I'm 1,000 miles away from myself. There's this ache, this silent scream behind my grin, and no one hears it but you. So I'm bringing it here, to you. To the only place I don't have to pretend. God, help me find the courage to stop performing, to take off the mask, even if slowly, even if shakily, to allow myself to be seen, not just admired. Remind me that you don't love the perfect version of me. You love the real me. Even when she's distant, even when she's numb, even when she's nowhere to be found behind the smile. God, help me believe that vulnerability is not weakness, that honesty is not failure, that being real, even when it's messy, is where healing begins. Because I'm done smiling just to survive. I want to be whole. I want to be true. I want to smile and mean it. So start with this prayer. This crack in the mask. This whispered truth between clenched teeth. God, I'm not okay, but I want to be. Amen. I miss the old me. God, I miss her. The version of me before all this, before the numbness, the heaviness, the silence that took root where joy used to live. I don't say that to escape responsibility. I don't say it to live in the past. I say it because I remember, and the remembering hurts. There was a time when I laughed without checking the room first, when I walked into the day expecting good things, not guarding against disappointment, when I felt light, not because life was easy, but because I still believed in myself. God, do you remember her? Do you remember the way she used to dance in the kitchen, barefoot, reckless, alive? Do you remember how she used to pray, not out of desperation, but out of wonder? Do you remember how she loved people, even the hard ones, without flinching? Because I do. Not clearly, like looking through fogged glass, but enough to ache. There's this echo of her in my chest, a hollow space shaped like a younger version of me. And some days, I think she's gone forever. But other days I wonder if she's still here, just buried under all the survival and sorrow I had to carry. God, I miss the way I used to trust. I miss how I used to dream out loud. I miss the spark, the fire, the gentle boldness. Not perfection, but presence. I didn't realize how precious it was until it slipped away. That sense of knowing who I was and liking her. Now, most days, I feel like a stranger in my own skin. A puzzle missing too many pieces. A song with no melody. And I just want to ask, God, can you help me find her again? Or maybe help me build a new version of me with pieces from the girl I used to be and the strength I've gained through breaking. I know I can't go back. I know time only moves forward. But surely some things are worth reclaiming. Some parts of me weren't meant to be lost, only paused. God, breathe life into the places where joy once lived. Clear the dust off the shelves of wonder in my soul. Let me remember what it felt like to be excited, not just functional. Not everything old needs to be thrown away. Some things are sacred. Some parts of me were holy, even before the pain tried to bury them. So if you can see her, that girl who used to believe, will you call her name? Call her gently. Call her kindly. And let me follow the sound back to something real. I miss her, God. And I miss me. Amen.
When faith feels foreign. God, this is the part I never thought I'd say out loud. But lately, even you feel far away. Not because I stopped believing, not because I turned my back, but because the connection that once felt natural, even effortless, now feels foreign. Like trying to speak a language I used to be fluent in, only to forget the words mid-sentence. I used to feel your presence like sunlight on my skin. I used to talk to you like breathing, without thinking, without effort. Now, my prayers feel empty. My words feel thin. My heart feels too numb to stir. And I hate that. I hate that the God I once ran to now feels like a stranger I hesitate to speak to. I open my Bible and it feels like paper. I sing worship, but the words don't stick. I hear others say you're near, and I smile, but I don't feel it. And I wonder, is it me? Am I too disconnected? Too far gone? Too broken to feel what once held me together? Or are you still near, but choosing silence as a language I don't yet understand? God, I miss when faith felt alive. I miss when I didn't have to fight to believe you still care. When I didn't question whether my prayers got lost in the distance. When I didn't feel like a fraud in my own quiet time. But I'm still here. Even if it's awkward. Even if it's hollow. Even if all I can say is, God, please don't leave me now. Because I don't know how to be whole again without you. I don't know how to feel safe if I can't feel the arms that once held me through every storm. So this is my prayer. My raw, tired, uncertain prayer. Stay. Even if I can't feel you. Stay. Even if I doubt more than I trust. Stay. Even if I don't know how to speak the words right anymore. Because maybe this is still faith. Not the kind that feels glorious or confident, but the kind that stays when nothing makes sense. The kind that whispers, I still want you, even through clenched teeth and wet pillows. Maybe you're not asking me to feel everything. Maybe you're just asking me to keep reaching, even in the dark. So here I am, God, reaching. Amen.
Emotional amnesia. God, I think I've forgotten how to feel. Not completely, just enough that joy feels like a stranger, grief feels like a ghost, and love feels like a memory from someone else's life. I don't know when it started. Maybe it was after one too many heartbreaks. Maybe it was the slow, suffocating years of carrying more than I could hold. Maybe it was when I learned to stay strong by going numb. Now, everything feels muted, blurry, like someone turned down the volume on my soul. I smile, but it doesn't reach my eyes. I cry, but only because I should, not because the tears come naturally. Even the things I used to love, music, nature, people, they all feel like they're behind glass. I can see them, I remember them, but I can't touch them. God, is this what emotional amnesia feels like? Still breathing, still walking, still functioning, but completely disconnected from the inner world that once made life vivid. I miss the girl who felt everything. Yes, even the pain. Because at least the pain meant she was alive. Now I drift from day to day. Not devastated, not joyful, just here, just existing. And I know I should be grateful to be alive. I am. But God, I also want to feel alive, not just be technically living. I want to laugh until my chest aches again. I want to cry and feel the release, not just the ritual. I want to feel your presence and have it move me to tears, to stillness, to awe. But right now, I feel like I'm sleepwalking through my own soul. Numb, detached, quiet, even to myself. So this is my prayer, God. Wake me up. Not all at once, not violently, but gently. Warm my frozen heart. Whisper to the places that shut down from too much pain. Touch the memories that still make me flinch. But don't leave me there, because I want to feel again. Even if it means hurting again. Even if it means starting from zero. Even if it means sitting with emotions that I've long buried. God, don't let me stay numb forever. Don't let me forget what it means to be fully human, fully yours, fully present, even if it's messy, even if it's overwhelming, even if it breaks me open. Because I'd rather break open than fade away. Amen.
I'm here, but I'm not really living. God, I'm still here, but I'm not really living. I wake up, I brush my teeth, I go through the motions. I answer messages, I smile at strangers. I do what I'm supposed to do. But inside, it's flat, empty, like walking through a world made of fog. There's no spark, no curiosity, no sense of wonder or urgency or purpose. I exist, but I'm not alive. And God, that realization hits hard, because I know what it's like to feel alive, to wake up with excitement, to have something stir in my spirit, to be pulled towards something meaningful, even if uncertain. But now I move because I must, not because I'm drawn. Now I breathe because it's automatic, not because I want to inhale this life. It's like I'm watching myself from outside my body, a silent observer of my own routines. There but not there, present but absent. And the worst part is, people don't notice, because I'm still performing, still responding, still showing up just enough to avoid the questions. But God, you see it, don't you? You see the blank spaces behind my eyes, the hollow silence where joy used to echo, the quiet ache that even I struggle to name. I don't want to live like this. Not anymore. Because this is not living. This is surviving in grayscale. This is waiting for something to change without the strength to chase it. So here's my confession. I'm tired of drifting, tired of pretending, tired of standing in a life that doesn't feel like mine anymore. And here's my prayer. God, awaken me. Awaken the part of me that still believes there's more. Even if it's buried, even if it's faint, even if it's trembling. Breathe color back into this life of mine. Not all at once, not in fireworks, just enough to remind me I'm not beyond repair. Give me a reason, even a small one, to care again, to hope again, to feel again, to risk again, because somewhere inside, beneath the numbness and fatigue and routine, I still want to live, really live, with heart, with intention, with presence. God, if you created me for more than this, help me remember what that more looks like. And if I'm too weak to walk toward it right now, then just sit with me in this stillness until my soul remembers how to move. Amen.
I'm tired of pretending. God, I'm so tired. Not just the kind of tired that sleep can fix. Not just physical exhaustion. I'm tired in my bones. Tired in my soul. Tired of pretending. I've been wearing this mask for so long. The one that says, I'm okay. The one that smiles in the hallway. The one that nods during conversations. The one that says, don't worry about me. But underneath it all, I'm crumbling. I'm unraveling. I'm screaming in a voice too quiet for anyone else to hear. And God, the weight of pretending is heavier than the truth I'm hiding. I pretend because it feels safer. Because if I were honest, if I really told people what I'm feeling, I'm afraid they'd walk away. I'm afraid they'd see me differently. I'm afraid they'd label me broken beyond repair. So I keep pretending because it's what I've always done. It's how I survive. But I don't want to just survive anymore. I want to be real, even if I'm a mess, even if the truth is ugly, raw, or inconvenient. God, what if I stopped pretending with you? What if I told you that sometimes I wake up and wish I could disappear? Not because I want to die, but because I don't want to perform anymore. What if I told you that sometimes I feel like a fraud? Like everyone sees a strong, put-together version of me that I don't even recognize? What if I told you that some days I don't know how to pray? Not because I don't want to, but because I'm scared you'll be silent. Would you still stay? Would you still love me? Would you still see the real me behind all the pretending? Because God, that's what I long for. Not applause, not admiration, not perfection. Just love for who I really am. Not the polished version, not the functional one, not the person others expect me to be. Just me. The one who's weary, the one who's scared, the one who doesn't have it all together. God, I'm laying the mask down here, at your feet, even if it's only for a moment, even if I pick it back up tomorrow out of habit or fear. But today, in this sacred breath, I want to stop pretending, because I know you don't need my performance. You never asked for perfection. You asked for presence. So here I am, not perfect, not polished, just present. Please meet me here. Amen.
What happened to my voice? God, what happened to my voice? Not just the sound from my mouth, but the voice of my spirit. The one that once spoke truth without fear, that asked questions without shame, that declared hope even in darkness. Where did she go? There was a time I used to speak freely, to say what I felt, to express what I believed, to sing, to pray, to laugh, to speak up when something wasn't right. But now I hesitate. Now I shrink. Now I second-guess every word before it ever leaves my lips. I've grown quiet, not out of peace, but out of fear. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being too much. Fear of being not enough. Somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that silence was safer, that being agreeable was easier than being authentic, that if I stayed quiet, I wouldn't be rejected. But God, in silencing myself, I silence parts of you within me. The fire, the boldness, the image of you that was meant to speak light into dark places. Now my throat feels like a locked door, and I don't know where I put the key. What happened to my voice, God? Did I bury it under the weight of expectations? Did I lose it in the noise of trying to please everyone but myself? Did I trade it for approval, only to realize the price was too high? I miss her, the one who wasn't afraid to speak what mattered, the one who didn't always get it right, but at least dared to try, the one who didn't whisper when she was called to roar. So this is my whisper now, my raw, broken, barely there whisper. God, help me find my voice again, not just for others, not to prove anything, but for me, for the little girl inside who once believed her words carried weight, for the grown soul now craving to speak what's real again. Teach me to speak with courage.
even if my voice shakes, even if it's just a few honest words a day. Let me speak truth over myself again, that I am loved, that I am worthy, that I don't have to earn permission to exist or to express. Let my voice return, not as a shout, but as a slow, steady rising. Because I believe you didn't give me this heart to be silent. You didn't give me this life to hide behind politeness and fear. You gave me breath, and breath is meant to move, to praise, to cry, to sing, to speak. So if I've forgotten how to use it, teach me gently, coax it out of hiding, and when I'm ready, let me speak again, as the one you always knew I was. Amen.
I feel like a stranger to myself. God, I don't know who I am anymore. That's the truth. The ache behind my silence. The quiet panic behind my eyes. The reason everything feels just a little off. I feel like a stranger to myself. I pass by mirrors and barely look. Not because I hate what I see, but because I no longer see anyone at all. I hear my own voice, but it doesn't sound like someone I know. I move through my days, but none of it feels like it belongs to me. Like I've been cast in a life I'm not sure I ever chose. Where did I go, God? I used to know my rhythms. What made me come alive? What made me laugh? What made me cry? Now I can't tell you the last time I truly felt anything with clarity. The things I used to love, they don't move me. The people I used to trust, they feel distant. Even I feel distant from myself. I used to have opinions, dreams, boundaries. Now everything feels blurred, foggy, undefined. I walk through this world with the haunting feeling that someone else is living inside my skin, and I've just been watching from the inside, unable to connect. Is this what trauma does, God? Is this what silence creates? Is this what happens when you suppress who you are for so long? You forget how to return? I don't even know what to pray for because I don't know what I've lost. Only that it matters. Only that I want it back. God, how do I come home to someone I no longer recognize? How do I love a self that feels like a stranger? How do I rebuild a relationship with me when I'm not even sure who's left? But I trust you know, because you knew me before all this, before the forgetting, before the fear, before the fading. You knew me when I was full of light. You knew me when I walked in truth. You knew me before the masks, before the fractures, before the hollowing. So, if I feel like a stranger to myself, but not to you, then maybe I can start with that. Maybe you can introduce me to me again. Slowly, patiently, without pressure, without shame. Maybe you can hold up a mirror that doesn't lie, one that shows me who I really am beneath the exhaustion and confusion. Let that be enough for today, God. Not full clarity, not complete healing, just one moment of honesty. I feel like a stranger, but I want to be known again. Amen.
The numbness won't go away. God, I've tried everything. I've rested. I've journaled. I've gone on walks. I've whispered prayers through trembling lips. I've sat in silence, hoping to hear you breathe. But the numbness won't go away. It clings to me, not like a storm that crashes and passes, but like a heavy fog that refuses to lift. I'm not drowning. I'm not breaking. I'm just not feeling. And in some ways, God, that's scarier. Because when I was hurting, I could cry. When I was angry, I could shout. When I was afraid, I could cling to you. But now there's just this dull hum, this quiet grayness that never leaves. I wake up and stare at the ceiling. I go through the day and it all blurs together. No high, no low, just numb. And I hate it. I hate how it steals my laughter, how it silences my tears, how it makes life feel like something I'm watching instead of something I'm living. I keep asking myself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I feel anymore? Why do my favorite songs fall flat? Why do the people I love feel a mile away, even when they're right beside me? I want to care. I want to feel. I want to ache even just to know that my heart is still working. But instead, there's this stillness. Not peace, just absence. God, is this what happens when a soul shuts down for too long? Did I turn off something inside me to survive, and now I don't know how to switch it back on? I don't need fireworks, Lord. I don't need a sudden supernatural breakthrough. I just need a spark, something, anything, to remind me I'm still here. I know you're with me, even when I can't feel you. I know your love doesn't disappear just because my emotions do. But God, I miss the closeness. I miss feeling held. I miss feeling anything at all. Please, sit with me in this numbness, even if I don't have the strength to speak, even if my prayers sound mechanical, even if I don't cry tonight. Let my silence be a prayer. Let my emptiness be something you hold without judgment. Let me trust that you're working, even here, because I believe this fog won't last forever. I believe this numbness is not who I am, only where I am. And even if I can't feel hope, I'll try to choose it for just one more day. Amen.
Losing me piece by piece. God, it didn't happen all at once. I didn't wake up one day and realize I was gone. It was slow, subtle, 1,000 tiny moments, 1,000 quiet sacrifices, until there wasn't much left to recognize. I lost myself piece by piece. It started with small compromises, saying yes when I wanted to say no, hiding tears because this isn't the time, swallowing truth to keep the peace, being who they needed, not who I was. Then I lost my voice, then my joy, then my spark, then my dreams. And by the time I noticed, there was only a shell walking around in my name. God, I didn't mean to disappear. I just didn't know how to protect myself without vanishing. Every trauma took a piece. Every betrayal carved out another layer. Every time I silenced my heart to survive, I handed over another fragment of my soul. And now I feel like a puzzle no one can solve. Scattered, incomplete, familiar in shape, but hollow in the center. It's not that I hate who I've become, it's that I don't even know who that is. Sometimes I try to remember who I used to be, not the perfect version, just the real one, the one who dared to feel things deeply, the one who had opinions, the one who lit up when she spoke about what she loved. But she's quiet now, buried under years of being strong, and I'm not sure how to dig her out. God, do you still see the pieces? The parts of me I've forgotten? The ones I left behind? The ones I gave away too easily? If so, would you help me find them?
would you help me gather what's left and hold it together until I remember how? I don't need to be who I was before. I just want to be whole again in a new way, a gentler way, a way that honors what I've lived through without letting it define what I become. God, if you still see all the broken parts, if you still call them worthy, then maybe I can believe that nothing truly beautiful is ever lost, only waiting to be restored. Help me, piece by piece. No rush, no pressure, just presence. Because I don't want to keep disappearing, not when I was made to live. Amen.
Am I too broken to return? God, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer, even if only in silence that holds me gently. Am I too broken to return? I don't mean to doubt you. I know you're the healer. I've said those words. I've read the verses. But when I look at myself, at this scattered, aching, unrecognizable version of me, I wonder if even you would pause before picking up these pieces. There's just so much damage, God. Not only from what others did, but from what I've done to myself. I let bitterness grow like weeds where grace once lived. I stopped believing I was worthy of more. I ignored my needs until I couldn't hear them anymore. And I kept choosing silence over honesty, comfort over healing, survival over truth. Now I sit in the middle of this rubble, and I don't know how to begin again. I keep asking, is it too late? Is there still something left in me worth redeeming? Because I don't want to waste your mercy. I don't want to ask for restoration if I'm the one who burned the bridge. But God, even as I whisper this fear, something deeper stirs, a hope too stubborn to die. Maybe broken doesn't mean finished. Maybe shattered isn't the same as worthless. Maybe you don't look at my ruins and recoil. Maybe you kneel beside them. Maybe you've never been afraid of broken things. After all, you've rebuilt crushed spirits. You've restored fallen kings. You've called fishermen and failures and outcasts. You've made gardens from graves. So maybe, just maybe, you can do something with me too. Even now, even here, even if I don't know where to begin. Because I want to return to you, to myself, to the place where hope still flickers. But I don't know the way. And I'm scared they'll say I missed my chance. So please, God, if there's still a way back, would you take my hand? Would you lead me through the fog? Not quickly, not all at once, just one honest step at a time. Because I don't want to live in exile anymore. Not from you, not from myself. Tell me I'm not too broken. Tell me you still see beauty in this mess. Tell me there's a future that includes someone like me. And even if you don't speak today, let me feel the weight of your nearness. Let me know that you haven't walked away, even if I've been too numb to notice you were still here. I want to believe in redemption again, not as a sermon, but as something that could happen to me. Amen.
I don't know how to pray anymore. God, this feels strange to say, but I don't know how to pray anymore. The words don't come like they used to. The flow is gone. The rhythm broken. The intimacy quieted. I used to speak to you with ease, not always eloquently, but honestly. My prayers were raw, simple, full of trust. Now it's hard to even begin. It's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's that I don't know how.
because I'm not sure what I believe about anything right now, because I'm not sure what I deserve to ask for, because my heart feels tangled and my thoughts are too heavy to carry into words. Sometimes I just sit in silence, hoping you'll read my breath like a psalm, hoping you'll see the ache in my chest and take it as a prayer. But there's guilt there too, this voice in my head that says, "You should know better. You've been here before. Why can't you pray like you used to?" God, is it still prayer when all I can offer you is silence? When all I can say is, "I don't know where to begin"? Is it still prayer when I cry and say nothing? Is it still prayer when my hands tremble more than my lips move? Because if it is, then this breath, this sigh, this whisper of longing is my offering to you now. I don't have the perfect words. I don't have tidy faith. I don't have a clear theology in this moment. I just have a tired heart, a soul still trying, a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, you still listen. Maybe prayer isn't always saying the right thing. Maybe it's just showing up, even empty-handed, even wordless. Maybe it's letting you into the places I'm too scared to speak aloud, the doubts, the fatigue, the anger I've buried under polite smiles, the questions I don't even dare to ask out loud. So here I am, God, not polished, not poetic, just present, and I'm trusting that's enough. I'm trusting that you see what I can't express, that you hear the prayers behind the silence, that you are moved by a soul that still reaches, even if its voice shakes or disappears completely. If you can understand the language of tears, the language of silence, the language of aching, then you already know what I'm trying to say. And that comforts me more than any fancy prayer ever could. So this is it, God. My prayer without structure, my cry without words, my heart handed to you just as it is. Please hold it gently. Amen.
A soul wandering without home. God, I feel like a soul without a home. Not because I don't have a roof over my head, not because I'm without shelter in the physical sense, but because something inside me keeps wandering, searching for a place to rest and never quite finding it. It's a strange ache to be surrounded by walls, by people, by routine, and still feel like I belong nowhere. I walk into rooms and smile at familiar faces, but deep down, it's like I'm floating through a world that doesn't recognize me, and that I no longer recognize either. God, where is home when even my own skin feels foreign? Where do I lay my soul when every version of me feels temporary? I try to anchor myself in relationships, in accomplishments, in plans, but none of it holds. None of it feels safe. None of it settles me. And I realize maybe what I'm missing isn't a place. Maybe what I'm aching for is belonging. Not to a location, not even to a community, but to something deeper, something eternal, something like you. Because the truth is, when I drift too far from you, everything starts to feel unstable. Like I'm sleeping in borrowed spaces, trying to build a home from twigs and memory. But when I remember you, even faintly, even through the fog, there's a pull. A sense that I was made for something. A someone.
A presence that doesn't shift when I do. A home that isn't shaken by my wandering heart. So maybe it's not about finding home again. Maybe it's about letting you be home. Maybe it's not about going back to who I was, but learning how to rest in who you've always been. Because you don't ask me to earn shelter. You don't require that I have it all figured out before I return. You don't lock the door when I've been gone too long. You leave the light on. You come to find me. You welcome the soul that's been sleeping under bridges of shame and silence. So here I am, God, tired, unrooted, uncertain of where I fit. And here you are, still steady, still open, still whispering, you belong. Let that be enough tonight. Not answers, not direction, just a holy reminder that I have not been abandoned. That even when my soul wanders, you do not. You are still here, and in you, I'm already home. Amen.
If you still see me, God, if you still see me, please say something, even just a whisper, because I can't see myself anymore. Not clearly, not consistently, not with the gentleness I used to. I look at my life, the choices, the scars, the silences, and all I see are echoes, faint outlines of a person I once knew, a person I think you created with purpose, a person I've lost somewhere along the way. But maybe you haven't, so I ask again timidly, if you still see me, God, would you call my name? The one you gave me before the world labeled me, before trauma reshaped me, before fear rewrote my identity? Call me by that name, Lord, the one that holds who I truly am, the one that isn't tainted by shame or self-doubt, the one that still lives under all these broken layers. Because I've forgotten how to answer to anything but exhaustion. I've worn so many masks, played so many roles, swallowed so many truths, that I'm not sure what's mine anymore. But you've always seen beyond the surface. You knew me when I was knit together in the dark. You knew the blueprint of my heart before I ever felt its first crack. So even if I've drifted too far to hear my own voice, maybe I can still hear yours. Say something, God. Not because you owe me clarity, but because I need to know I'm not invisible to you. Say something that reminds me I'm still worthy of being seen, that I'm not too far gone, that even now, confused, numb, disconnected, I still matter. And if I can't hear you yet, then just stay near. Stand in the silence with me. Trace the outline of who I am, even when I'm afraid there's nothing left to hold. God, I'm tired of being a shadow in my own story. I want to be real again, rooted, whole, known. But I can't do it alone. So if you still see me, if you still recognize me beneath all this, then help me remember what it feels like to be fully seen and fully loved. Let your gaze be the first thing that steadies me. Let your voice be the first thing that calls me back. Because if you see me, then maybe I'm still here. Maybe I'm not lost, just waiting to be found. Amen.
Becoming again, slowly. God, I used to think healing would feel like light breaking through the clouds, like a sudden warmth, like clarity that sweeps away all confusion. But now I'm learning. Healing looks more like slowness, like tiny steps, like shaky beginnings that no one else notices, but you do. I thought I had to become myself again in a rush, to reclaim joy overnight, to be whole by morning, to wake up and recognize myself fully. But now I see, becoming again doesn't happen in one grand moment. It happens in the quiet, in the hidden, in the fragile choices I make each day to not give up. God, thank you for not rushing me. Because I've spent so long demanding answers, pushing myself to be better, forcing smiles and measuring progress like a checklist, that I forgot. Becoming isn't about speed. It's about returning to truth, one breath at a time. Some days I still feel empty. Some days I still forget how to pray. Some days I slide back into old numbness and wonder if anything is really changing. But then, I notice I paused to feel something, even if it was sadness. I notice I took a deep breath instead of shutting down. I notice I said no when I usually say yes out of fear. And I realize that is becoming again. It's the gentle rebuilding of something sacred, even when the bricks don't stack evenly. It's learning to trust again, not only in you, but in myself, in my ability to hear, feel, respond, love. God, I'm not who I used to be, and maybe I never will be, but maybe that's not the goal. Maybe you're not trying to bring me back to my old self. Maybe you're shaping someone new, someone softer, wiser, kinder, someone who has walked through fire, but still chooses to love, still chooses to hope, still chooses to show up. Becoming again means I allow space to grow, to rest, to feel everything I used to avoid. And becoming again means I let you take the lead, instead of carrying the pressure to fix myself alone. So today, God, I offer you this moment, this tiny, sacred, trembling moment of yes. Yes to the slowness. Yes to the process. Yes to being unfinished, but still worthy. Yes to learning how to live, not just survive. Take what's left of me and build something true, even if it's slow, especially if it's slow, because slow means it will last. Amen.
Whisper me back to myself. God, I don't need a thunderstorm. I don't need lightning bolts or burning bushes. I don't need a voice that shakes the ground beneath my feet. I just need a whisper, a quiet, steady whisper that says, I'm still here. You're still mine. You haven't disappeared, even if it feels like it. Because sometimes I think I've gone too far into the fog, that I've wandered too deep into numbness, too long into silence, too far from who I was created to be. And yet, some small part of me still believes you know the way back, even when I don't. So, God, whisper me back to myself, back to the child who used to sing when no one was listening, back to the soul that loved deeply, even when it hurt, back to the version of me that believed healing was possible, back to the quiet confidence that I am loved, even when I'm not impressive.
Whisper through the fear that keeps me frozen, through the shame that tells me I don't deserve to return, through the tiredness that tries to convince me it's too late. Speak softly, because my heart is tender, because loudness might break what little is left. Whisper truth into the lies I've memorized. Whisper light into the corners I've closed off. Whisper love into the silence I've been sitting in for far too long. And I'll listen. I promise I will. Even if I tremble, even if I cry, even if I doubt the sound at first, because deep down, I know your voice, even after all this time, even when I've forgotten mine. And if you say I'm still here, that I still matter, then maybe I can believe it. Maybe I can stop striving and start receiving. Maybe I can let go of performing and start unfolding. Maybe I can begin to come home, not just to you, but to me. God, if I can't find the words, if I can't take the next step, if I can't believe just yet, then just whisper. Whisper over me, around me, within me, until something stirs, until something wakes, until the pieces of me that drifted away remember how to return. Whisper me back to the truth you never stopped seeing. Whisper me back to the love that never stopped reaching. Whisper me back to myself. Amen.
The weight of unspoken things. God, there are things I've never said to anyone, not even to you, though you already know. They sit in my chest like stones, unspoken, unnamed, heavy. They aren't just memories, they're truths I've been afraid to touch, fears I've wrapped in silence, regrets I've buried under smiles, questions I was taught not to ask, and the longer I carry them quietly, the heavier they become. God, I think I've mistaken silence for strength. I thought if I could just keep going, if I could hold it all in, if I didn't say it out loud, then maybe it would disappear. But it hasn't. It lingers. In my body, in my dreams, in my distance from joy, in the way I flinch when things get too honest. The weight of what I haven't said is shaping me more than what I have. There are truths that scare me. I'm not okay. I feel forgotten. I'm angry at you, even when I know you love me. I don't know how to forgive them. I don't know how to forgive myself. There are things I don't say because I fear judgment. But even more than that, I fear being misunderstood. I fear someone will hear my pain and think I'm too much, too broken, too complicated to love. So I hide. I become quiet when I most need comfort. I smile when I most need to scream. I disappear into silence. Not because I want to, but because I don't know how to say the real things without shaking apart. But God, here's the truth. I can't carry the unspoken anymore. It's making me smaller. It's pressing down on my joy. It's choking my ability to heal. So tonight, in the quiet, I offer you what I've never dared to say. Here is the fear I've swallowed. Here is the hurt I've hidden. Here is the guilt I allowed to rot in the dark. Here is the sorrow I dressed up in sarcasm. Here is the rage I turned inward. I lay it down now, not eloquently, not in order, just
honestly. God, hold it. Hold what I was too afraid to speak. Hold what I never gave myself permission to feel. Hold what I don't know how to explain, and help me believe this, that truth spoken in love does not destroy, it heals. That you are not afraid of my honesty, that you are not shocked by my mess, that you welcome the raw, wordless confessions, even the ones soaked in shame. So here it is, God. Everything I never said, everything that's been weighing me down, I give it to you now, because I want to be free. And freedom doesn't come from silence. It comes from surrender. Amen.
Grief for the person I could have been. God, there's a version of me I never became. And lately, I find myself grieving her. She wasn't perfect, but she was whole, curious, hopeful, soft in the places I've since hardened. She had dreams I laid down, not always because they weren't worthy, but because I didn't think I was. She believed in things I've unlearned. She laughed louder. She felt deeper. She trusted more freely. And even when life got hard, she hadn't yet decided that protecting herself meant shrinking. God, where did she go? Sometimes I catch glimpses of her. In an old photo, in a song that used to mean something, in the ache I feel when I watch someone else live without fear. And I wonder, did I abandon her? Or did I just lose her slowly in the name of survival? This grief, it's confusing because I'm still alive, still growing, still breathing. And yet, there's a part of me that feels like I died before I ever really lived. The version of me that didn't get to be because I kept choosing what was safe, because I gave too much, because I let fear vote louder than faith. God, help me mourn her, not with shame, but with reverence, because her loss matters. The life I could have lived matters. The songs unsung, the books unwritten, the risks never taken, they all matter. And I need space to grieve them. Not so I stay stuck in the past, but so I can move forward honestly. So I can say, yes, there was someone I wanted to be, and I didn't become her. But that doesn't mean I can't become someone else beautiful still. God, teach me how to let go of who I thought I would be without letting go of hope. Let me honor the ache, but not let it bury me. And maybe, in this quiet grief, you are planting something new. Maybe there's still time. Not to go back, but to begin again. Not to reclaim the past, but to finally build a future I'm not afraid to belong to. So help me say goodbye, not with despair, but with gratitude for the dream that once lived in me. And help me say hello to the person I'm still becoming. Amen. Tired of healing alone. God, I've been trying. Truly, I have. I've read the books. I've journaled the pain. I've sat in silence, breathing through the ache. I've told myself, this is the work. This is what healing looks like. But the truth is, I'm tired. So tired. Not of the journey itself, but of walking it alone. Everyone says, healing is personal. Healing starts with you. And maybe that's true. But I think we were never meant to do this in isolation. And lately, it feels like every step toward restoration requires more strength than I have left to give. God, I've held myself together for so long, I forgot what it feels like to be held. I've spoken affirmations into mirrors, while my soul crumbled behind the glass. I forced myself to rise, to smile, to hope, even when I wanted to stay curled beneath the weight of it all. And all the while, I whispered to myself, "You've got this. You can heal yourself." But, God, what if I can't? What if I'm not supposed to? What if healing was never meant to be a solitary task carried out in silence and secret? What if it's okay to say, "I need help. I need comfort. I need presence." Not advice, not solutions, just presence. Yours. God, I don't need answers tonight. I don't need a fix. I don't need to be told that it gets better. I just need to know I'm not alone in this anymore. That I don't have to keep patching the holes in my heart with grit and willpower and forced positivity. That it's okay to collapse into your arms and say, "I don't want to carry this by myself anymore. Please sit with me, here, now, in the mess, in the fatigue, in the half-healed wounds. Remind me that you don't only show up when I'm strong, that you don't require me to be whole before you hold me, that you're not waiting at the finish line of healing. You're kneeling beside me in the middle of it. And if I can't take another step forward today, then just be with me where I am. Let your nearness be the balm. Let your stillness be my safety. Let your presence whisper what I've forgotten. That healing doesn't have to be heroic. That rest is part of recovery. That needing you doesn't make me weak. It makes me honest. So here I am, God, not asking you to carry all the pain away, but just asking you to carry me through this stretch of the journey that feels too long to walk alone. Amen.
Why is it taking so long? God, I know you don't work by my timeline. I know you move in seasons, not seconds. I know you are patient, purposeful. You don't rush transformation. But still, I have to ask, why is it taking so long? Why does it feel like I've been walking through the same valley for months, years, maybe longer? Why do I still feel numb some mornings? Still wrestle with the same questions? Still circle the same pain? Even after all this work, all these prayers, all this trying? I don't mean to question your process. I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but God, I'm tired. I'm so very tired. There are moments I feel a flicker of hope, a softening, a breakthrough, and then the next day it disappears, and I'm back to wondering, did I make that up? Did I fail again? Did I undo the healing you started? I thought I'd be further by now. Not perfect, not finished, just lighter, more free. But some days I still feel stuck, still feel broken, still feel like healing is always just out of reach. And that voice in my head, the one that doesn't sound like you, keeps whispering, maybe you're the problem. Maybe you're not trying hard enough. Maybe you don't deserve to heal. God, I know that's not your voice, but it's loud. And when the waiting stretches longer than my strength, I start to believe it. So today, I need you to speak louder, not with noise, but with truth. Remind me that healing isn't linear, that I'm not failing because I'm still hurting, that some wounds take time,
Not because you're cruel, but because you're thorough. Because you don't patch over cracks. You rebuild foundations. And that takes time. Remind me that even if I can't see progress, you haven't stopped working. That even in the quiet, the slow, the still, you are present. You are healing. Help me trust that slowness isn't punishment, that delay isn't abandonment, that this long road doesn't mean I'm lost. It means you're taking care not to rush the sacred work. And if I can't trust that today, then help me rest in you anyway. Not because I understand, but because I know you're still holding me. Even here, even now. God, if the answer to why is it taking so long is simply this, because you're worth doing well, then maybe I can breathe again. Amen.
Learning to be kind to myself. God, I've spent so many years being harsh with myself, so many moments whispering words to my own soul that I would never speak to another human being. I've called myself lazy, broken, too much, not enough, unworthy, behind, a burden. And I believed it, because somewhere along the way, I confused self-discipline with self-punishment. I thought if I could be hard enough on myself, I might finally become lovable, or at least tolerable. But all it did was silence the gentler parts of me, the ones that still wanted to grow, the ones that still longed to feel safe. God, I think I'm ready to try something different. I think I'm ready to learn how to be kind to myself, not in the way the world says, with luxury or indulgence, but in the way you are kind, with patience, with tenderness, with truth that doesn't bruise. You've never rushed me, never mocked me, never told me I was too damaged to be worth saving. Why have I not offered myself the same grace? Why have I spoken over my own heart with tones of shame, with standards of perfection, with expectations no one could ever meet? I want to unlearn that voice. I want to replace it with the sound of yours, steady, gentle, unchanging. The voice that says, you are still growing. You don't have to earn love. You are allowed to be human and still be mine. So teach me, Lord. Teach me how to be kind when I make mistakes, how to speak to myself with compassion, not critique, how to rest without guilt, how to fail without hatred, how to see myself through the lens of love, not lack. I know it won't come naturally. I know the old voice will try to rise again. The one that says, I'm weak if I rest, or selfish if I say no, or undeserving if I cry. But with you beside me, I believe I can learn again. I can practice kindness like a prayer, not just toward others, but toward the wounded child still living inside my chest. Let my self-talk become sacred ground. Let my thoughts toward myself reflect the mercy you show me daily. And when I forget, remind me that healing isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about learning to love what's healing, even when it's slow, even when it's messy, even when it's me. Amen.
Letting go of who I thought I had to be. God, I've carried so many versions of myself, worn so many masks, built so many identities to survive, to be liked, to be respected, to feel enough. The strong one, the capable one, the kind one who never complains, the one who always bounces back, the one who doesn't need help, the one who doesn't fall apart. But the truth is,
I'm tired. Not just tired of the weight of pretending, but tired of the lie that I had to be anything other than me to be loved. Somewhere along the way, I decided that who I wasn't acceptable, that I had to become someone better, someone smoother, someone easier to handle. So I edited myself, softened my voice, swallowed my opinions, performed my piece. And now, here I am, looking in the mirror and realizing I don't even know which parts of me are real anymore. God, I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep clinging to identities that were never mine to begin with. I don't want to keep molding myself to fit into spaces I was never meant to shrink into. I want to be free. Free from the pressure to be impressive. Free from the fear of being too much. Free from the guilt of being human. God, I give you the false identities. I lay them at your feet. The performer, the overachiever, the people pleaser, the silent sufferer. Take them. Burn them. Gently unravel them from my soul so I can return to the one you actually created, the one who was never meant to be perfect, just present, just honest, just real. Help me unlearn the lie that my worth comes from how useful, polished, or accommodating I am. Remind me that I am loved because I am yours, not because I've performed well. And if I feel lost without these old versions of myself, help me not to rush into creating new masks. Let me sit in the in-between. Let me rediscover the parts of me that were buried, ignored, or silenced. And let me believe that who I am underneath all the armor is not only enough, but beautiful. I thought I had to be someone else to be accepted, but now I see I only ever needed to be seen by you. So strip away who I thought I had to be, and let me rest in who I already am, unfiltered, unfinished, unashamed. Amen.
Seeing myself through your eyes. God, I've spent so long looking at myself through broken mirrors, through shame, through comparison, through the expectations of others, and the reflections I've seen have rarely been kind. Too much, too quiet, too emotional, too messy, not enough. Every flaw magnified, every failure replayed, every scar held up like proof that I'll never be whole. But what if I've been seeing wrong? What if the mirror isn't broken, just misaligned? What if my eyes can't be trusted because they've been trained by wounds, not by truth? God, would you let me borrow your eyes for a moment? Not forever, just long enough to catch a glimpse of who I really am. Not through fear or fatigue or the need to prove myself, but through love. What do you see when you look at me? Do you see the mess or do you see the mercy? Do you see my scars or the strength it took to heal around them? Do you see failure or the fight to rise again, even with shaking hands? Because when I look at me, I mostly see the cracks. But I think when you look at me, you see the light that still pours through them. God, help me see what you see. Show me the beauty in my softness. Show me the strength in my survival. Show me the goodness that hasn't been erased by hardship. I've believed for too long that I had to earn my worth. But your eyes, your gaze, they don't demand performance. They don't flinch at my pain. They don't reduce me to my worst moments. They see all of me and still choose love. God, let that truth sink in. Let it challenge every lie I've told myself. Let it wash away every label I've worn. Let it become the new lens through which I live. Because if I can begin to see myself even a little bit like you do, then maybe I can stop hiding. Maybe I can stop hating. Maybe I can finally start healing from the inside out. So when I stand before the mirror again, let me remember this. I am not what I fear. I am not what I failed. I am not what others say. I am what you see, and you see someone worth staying for. Amen.
I am still yours. God, after everything, after the wandering, after the silence, after the numbness, the doubt, the masks, the grief, there's still one truth left standing. I am still yours, even if I feel far from you, even if I've forgotten how to pray, even if I've fallen short 1,000 times, even if I don't always see who I am, even if I've been ashamed of the broken pieces, I am still yours. You have never unclaimed me, never revoked your love, never withheld your presence while I tried to earn my way back. While I wrestled with who I was, you never forgot. While I tried to disappear, you stayed. You have never been confused about who I am, even when I've been lost in my own reflection. And so now, here at the end of this long, aching, holy unraveling, I place my heart, tired, unsure, but still beating, back into your hands. Because even if I've lost sight of myself, I know you haven't. Even if my story has chapters I wish I could erase, you still call the whole book good. Even if I don't feel worthy of being found, you have never stopped seeking. So I surrender. Not to shame, not to fear, not to the voice that says I'll never be whole, but to you. To the one who knew me before I knew pain. To the one who walks with me in every wilderness. To the one who calls me by name, not my wounds. God, I don't have it all together, but I have this. A flicker of trust, a quiet yes, and the faith to believe that you are not finished with me yet. I am still yours. Even when I break, even when I fall short, even when I forget. And maybe, just maybe, that truth is enough to begin again. So, I will. With shaking hands, with a healing heart, with a story still being written, I will rise. Not because I've arrived, but because I belong to you. Always. Amen.